Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. Everybody's working for the weekend. Taking care of business every day. Now it's wow, welcome to the working week.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Minimum wage.
Okay, you're listening to The Working Lunch here on WCUW 91.3 FM. I'm Jeff Turgeon, host of the show here with my co-host.
Sean McGauley, co-host.
Welcome to another edition to the show. Again, lots going on. We also survived the government shutdown. Right? We survived the government shutdown. It's good to see that they had reopened, as well as making at least a short-term deal here on the debt ceiling. So it's good to see that they were able to get that done. Otherwise, the public resources that we oversee were fast drawing to a close. So, including the services offered through the Career Center, without the government reopening it, eventually we would have had to close that Career Center for folks looking to get information and services around finding a new job. So
good news.
So we do have a couple guests here, and I know that we actually have them in studio already. So why don't we go? Our first guest we're going to bring on board is actually going to be Paul Lynskey from the Blackstone Valley Education Foundation. Why don't you come on over, Paul, and get situated here with us? How are you, sir?
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for inviting me.
Glad to have you on. This is great. We're very pleased. Now, I should mention that Bob and I are producer extraordinaire, directly involved with a program we call School to Career Connecting Activities, and it's a state-funded program which helps to connect young people in school, youth, high school students with internships and work readiness activities. Bob, I know you've been actively involved with the project for a number of years now, and
yes, it's really to connect the students with what they're learning in school with the real world place of work out there. And Blackstone Valley Education Foundation has been involved with that, a very strong partner of ours for many, many years, and it has some good things going on down there in the valley.
And I know that, so we should mention we're partnered with the Education Foundation as well as Worcester Public Schools and several other, and you work with several school districts down in the Blackstone Valley as part of that coordinating function for us as part of the program.
Actually, Jeff, I think we've got about 11 school districts now that stretch basically from the city of Worcester to the Rhode Island border.
Oh, that's great. That's
actively involved.
That's super. And now let's just talk a little bit about some of the goals of the program. So, as Bob and I had mentioned, really to connect young people. I mean, hence the name Connect Activities and School to Career. But what's some of the other kind of activities that happen as part of that?
Well, the great thing about connecting activities and working with Central Mass Workforce Investment Board on this is it's very, very rare when we've got grant money coming in that really satisfies three completely separate audiences and does it equally well. We're providing a very strong service to the students who are learning a lot about potential careers, but more importantly, relevance to their school education. What skills do they need in order to get into the job they're thinking about? Mm-hmm. We're helping the school districts and parents because we're helping the counselors gain professional development services so they have a much clearer understanding of resources locally. Mm-hmm. And then
we're helping their student success as well.
And student success. And we're helping the businesses. Mm-hmm. They're active partners with us because they know that we are working with their workforce needs of the future, and they're active in helping us.
And I know one of the things that the program does really well is stretch the dollar that's invested into it. So here at Central Mass, we receive, I think, overall just over
$100,000.
But with that, we've been able to kind of parlay that, if you will, into over $1 million in youth wages paid through, whether it's part-time work or internships, paid internships by private industry partners.
So talk about a return on investment there.
Oh, it's a great return. And additionally, we have income coming in to help support our Connecting Activities programs from the local businesses.
Oh,
so
that's
in
great.
addition to the actual employment, we're getting grants, contributions, and sponsorships from businesses to further enhance the Connecting Activities reach.
Oh, that's super. I know you do a lot of good activities down there, and one of them is a new initiative this year called. It's part of the Amp It Up program. It's it's an Amp It Up is a new initiative that's targeting advanced manufacturing sector. Can you tell us, a little bit about why Massachusetts is doing that new initiative?
Sure. Mass Development's been very proactive in trying to help us get the message out to schools. There's I've been in higher education all my life. There's a misunderstood concept out there, especially by parents and grandparents, that the manufacturing sector in Massachusetts is dying, and it's not. It's created a very strong niche within the marketplace, both nationally and internationally. We've got some very vibrant corporations. The whole skills level has changed. I mean, the old factory days are gone. And this is helping us really get that message clearly out to the educators and to parents, those who work with the
and
students.
certainly Central Massachusetts in general, in the Blackstone Valley in particular, has a strong manufacturing history, rich history, and a strong base. So it's good to see that there's still a vibrant core of manufacturers out there, and that they're willing to partner and get involved with programs like Amp It Up and like Connecting Activities and with work with young people. Now, I understand you're also, the foundation is partnering with Workforce Central and businesses to host a major new jobs event that's going to be happening in December, which will target high school students. Sounds pretty unique. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it, considering the idea didn't exist 2 weeks ago. And publicly thanking Bob Zukowski here for helping us with this to basically devise the program. I just came from a meeting with the superintendent of schools and principal at Sutton.
Okay.
And they're very excited about the program, and they're the first to hear
So
about it, actually.
tell us a little bit about the program. What's the...
What we're going to do is we're going to be busing students in from all of the member school districts to a central location. We haven't decided on the site yet, but there's a very good chance it's going to be Nipmuc Regional High School in Mendon. And I'll be going there tomorrow to check facility. And we're going to have Workforce Central hopefully help us with workshop preparation for students with a concurrent track for the counselors and parents, so that attendees will learn about how to enter the job market, how to do resumes, how to interview, basic work ethic and skills requirements for entry-level positions, not just in manufacturing, although that will be the focus, but in industry in general. And we're also going to have a mini fair set up so that some of the local manufacturers and businesses can actually meet with these students and hopefully exchange information about upcoming part-time or full-time employment.
And that's really the point of the program in general, and this activity, just to give young people and their parents, that real world understanding, and because these days with MCAS and other things that are happening in the schools, they're so busy with that.
Right.
With those activities, it's kind of hard to squeeze in this work readiness stuff, and they're so busy with the academics and the other student support roles they play. They don't necessarily have work ready experts, if you will, on hand. So to partner up and to kind of get the most out of having Workforce Central come in. That's our local career centers here in Central Mass. So staff from there coming in to work with the young people about it. But then also having business folks themselves come in and talk about their needs and talk about what it takes to succeed, I think is just a great message for young people to hear directly.
I think you've hit the nail right on the head. Susan Hitchcock, who is the superintendent of schools in Millbury, put it very succinctly for me. She says, the foundation with your Connecting Activities funds and your other programs can do two things that we can't do with the schools. One, you can help us better collaborate with businesses and community than we can do on our own. And secondly, you can help us do collaborative activities with the other schools in the area that we can't possibly afford to organize on our own.
Now, we'd mentioned before that the budget for School to Career Connect activities is about $100,000, and that's a public investment from the state. And then on top of it, the mass development, I think the Amp It Up is around $10,000. I have that right?
Yes,
so
correct.
Again, we're not talking, huge
Bucks.
sums of money, but certainly for the number of young people that they're going to impact, it's a great return on investment there. Can you tell us a little bit about why it's so critical that we have public investment in programs like this and have investment from business as well?
I think the key is the term you've been using, and that's the leveraging. for very small dollars, which these grants are in the scheme of public education, we can leverage a lot of private money additionally and use some of the current public funding for education to really get a 3 or 4 or 5 or 10% return on the dollar.
Yeah.
And this would not be done without the ability to connect some of these loose dots out there.
And certainly, that's just kind of the direct impact that you're talking about with that return. And when you look at the bigger picture and the longer, the bigger scheme of things, the research shows that young people that have work experience are more successful in school. So their retention rate and their graduation rates are stronger, but then also their employment rate and their attainment rate of credentialing after high school is also much stronger too.
Yes.
So it really gives them. So you're talking about investing in our future.
Right.
This is a program that really helps connect. I think Dr. Z on the board over here kind of said it earlier. I mean, it really does help connect the real world and what's happening out there with the relevance to what's happening in the classroom, which sometimes without that connection, young people can get maybe a little bit. Yeah.
And I've been speaking to groups of students all over the state for years, and I'm pretty blunt with the message.
Yeah.
I say if you're going to talk about careers, 2 things got to be true. 1, you got to like the job, and 2, you got to be good at it. If you don't like it, you're going to quit. If you're not good at it, you're going to get fired. I mean, it's blank. And kids understand direct language like that. And the ability to interact and find out more in advance of deciding on careers is a huge plus for them as far as going down the road.
So obviously a big benefit to our local youth and to the businesses themselves. It's a kind of a win-win for everybody here. How can business people get involved? People out there in the listening audience, how can they get involved with the program?
We have businesses throughout the Blackstone Valley involved in multiple ways. Many of them are willing to provide speakers, career speakers, on how to get into certain professions and the skills required and what motivated them, to get in at that point. We had a major forum in April where the Lieutenant Governor chaired it. We brought 130 educators together at Pleasant Valley Country Club to discuss how to enhance these services additionally in the schools. And one of the things that came out is we need a much more organized approach to career planning and speakers at the school level. So we're going to be approaching the Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce and local businesses to create a list of substantial number of people who are willing to speak in the schools on their topics. So one thing they can get involved by actually talking about what they do.
So it's not just businesses hiring people per se. It's also them getting involved as a guest speaker.
Absolutely.
And I love the idea of kind of like a speakers bureau, if you will, that schools can draw from to have that list.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, businesses provide sponsorships for the activities. I mean, the program I'm talking about, we'll be looking for businesses to help sponsor and offset some of the costs of that program.
Yeah.
So it's great PR for the businesses, but it also gets their people more involved with the schools and the community.
Great. Well, thank you for being on the show. As we kind of fully enter the fall semester here with schools, wish you the best of luck with the program and moving forward. So thanks again, Paul, for being on.
And thanks, Jeff, for all your help with everything we're doing down there.
Okay, Dr. Z, I think we're going to take a short public service break.
Yes, we
While
will.
we switch over.
And we'll do that right now. We're right here. We're changing seats a little bit, and we thank Paul Lynskey from the Blackstone Valley Education Foundation for joining us this morning, or I should say this afternoon, during our working lunch, and we appreciate Paul's support. And now back to Jeff and Sean and their guests.
Company, yes.
And their guests.
Well,
How you doing?
Thank you, sir. So we have with us another guest here. We have Stuart Loosemore from the Worcester Chamber of Commerce. Stuart, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Jeff?
Good. So the show, of course, is The Working Lunch. And so we're trying to figure out if we can have you as a regular guest, how we need to create some sort of segment theme, like a portion of stew with your lunch.
You want to retain listeners, correct? I mean, if you want to keep listening.
Well, we're just thinking, it's not every day, you have a lunch show.
Stew on a regular basis.
Well, nice warm bowl of stew here. That goes a long way. Yes.
Although I do enjoy, Dr. Z. Does that make you, MC Turge? And is it, Mixmaster Magali over there?
Well, it is Mixmaster. Yeah, MCG in the house. That's a good one. See, we need to. Yeah. So tell us what's happening. What's going on at the chamber? Why don't we start with that? What's happening over there?
everything that we're doing is centered around our new mantra that's been rolled out since the former Lieutenant Governor Tim Murray took leadership of the chamber, and it's recruit, retain, and incubate. Everything is centered around recruit, retain, and incubate. I think it's been drilled into my head so much. I say it as I'm falling asleep, and I find myself saying it waking up in the morning. Eyes half open, recruit, retain, incubate, recruit, retain.
So the incubate part, I think, is probably one of the ones that is a fairly new role for the chamber to be playing, and it really ties into the economic development of the region. Do I have that right?
Yes, the idea of harnessing the potential that we have here, of college students, but also just entrepreneurs who are trying to start out on their own, and providing the ability for them to take an idea, take a concept, and put together a business plan and move forward with it and see if they can make a go, and allowing them the ability to do that if that's what they're looking to do.
And am I correct that that the chambers actually help create a fund that entrepreneurs can tap into or can apply to? Is that
we're currently doing an economic development advancement fund.
Okay.
We haven't set up any sort of mechanism to tap into that fund yet. Right now, we're on a goal of about 1.2 million over the course of 2 years.
Wow.
To raise for kind of strategic economic development ideas and kind of one-time spending. So I don't know if it's been evolved into kind of a fund for entrepreneurs, but that could come into economic development ideas and one-time funding sources. I can't say that's not a part of it, but that's certainly not.
So it's not quite ready as part of the mix right yet. So now there's also the chambers announced a manufacturing leadership roundtable. Is it?
That is retain.
There you go.
I have a law degree and I work in government, so I can connect almost anything you talk about the chamber doing to one of those three.
One of those three ones, yeah.
You could almost maybe make it a game at the end of all this. The idea of we have a manufacturing base here. The roundtable is going to be pulling those manufacturers together. Not just Worcester, we've extended the invitation to all of our manufacturer members of the Worcester Regional Chamber, as well as our 5 affiliate chambers. The Auburn Chamber, the Webster Dudley Oxford Chamber, the newly renamed Wachusett Area Chamber, formerly the Holden Area Chamber, the Blackstone Valley Chamber, and the Central Mass South Chamber. So
we just had Paul Lynskey on from the Education Foundation, Blackstone Valley Education Foundation. They spun off from. They actually were started in partnership with the Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce. And as he spoke about, there is a vibrant community of manufacturers, down in the Blackstone Valley area. So it's great to hear them being kind of included in the mix here. And so what the roundtable itself would look at policy issues that relate to manufacturers and shared concerns, areas of
policy issues, shared concern, shared issues. What obstacles are you running into that the chamber can be an advocate for you on? What are you seeing maybe training wise that we can create and strengthen the already well-established partnerships that we have with some of our training facilities and technical facilities, the high school here in Worcester, Quincy.
I was going to say certainly the workforce end of manufacturing is always a big component, and with the one of the things that we do hear about a lot from manufacturers is just the average age of their workforce, is really close to retirement age, and so there's going to need to be a lot of backfill there, and if young people aren't ready. And there's actually a study that I was going to bring up in a bit, but there's the studies showing that younger people, their skills they're not as ready to take on those roles as the people that are exiting. And I think it's especially true in manufacturing, where you have this group of incredibly seasoned talent that's going to be stepping out. And for years and years, young people haven't been going into manufacturing, so you don't really have a base to draw from.
And it's kind of correcting that vision that it's not, your grandfather's machine shop anymore. I mean, these are highly skilled, highly technical jobs.
And well-paying too, right?
The average salary, I believe, in manufacturing is about $75,000, which is higher than,
I believe it's higher than healthcare. It's certainly higher than retail.
education, some of the
Education,
education. I mean, they're well-paying jobs, they're skilled jobs. The other figure that I've heard is over the next 10 years, going to your idea of attrition, next 10 years, without adding a single job, we're still going to need to fill about 100,000 positions in manufacturing. That's a lot of people.
And, it's incredible, but we do hear from manufacturers that say, I could hire a lot more people if I had skilled people ready to go, because I've got contracts I could be bidding on, I've got work I could be, jobs I could be doing, but I don't have the manpower right now. That's one of the things that's holding them back. So you talk about not adding new jobs. There's actually could be a lot more growth if there was kind of a pool of talent for them to draw from easily. And
the growth is what we're hoping to tap into. The stat was more just, without even looking at that side, there's 100,000 jobs that are going to be sitting out there. Yeah. And we need to start engaging our young students and getting them interested in manufacturing and, the STEM segment and some of these. Well, and certainly having the roundtable, sounds like a great step. I know a lot has been done in partnership with Tim Murray when he was lieutenant governor around manufacturing. There's a lot of statewide infrastructure and regional infrastructure set up as a result of his focus on manufacturing and the importance of manufacturing to our economy when he was lieutenant governor. So it's great to see him retaining that that focus and bringing it into the chamber's work. Yeah. What else is going on at the chamber? Any big events coming up that you want to highlight? Or we have our annual meeting in December, as well as we just had our expo, our annual business expo, which was a now how many success. how many different vendors or guests? I believe give us a sense of the scope. The booths are about, I want to say it's upwards of about 150 different booths, different companies and vendors that come in and display their wares and use it as a way to try and generate leads and sale potential and make those connections, make that soft connection. You get the business card from the individual, you have a conversation, and then you follow up later on for the potential of maybe doing business together. I know if folks haven't gone. I mean, it's just an amazing sight to see all the different companies that are down there on the floor of the DCU and in their convention hall, totally packing the convention hall, and then all the visitors and all the guests that are there. It's just an amazing opportunity to kind of network and see what's going on in industry and all the different services and products that are out there. So, and that must take a ton of work to it's put a lot together. To put together, but it's it's one of those labors of love. Yeah, you look at it afterwards, and in the lead up, you might be pulling your hair out, you might be wanting to scream from the rooftops, but when it's done and when it's going on and you're standing there and you're looking around and it's such the success that it is. And this year we kept hearing from more and more vendors, more and more people with booths saying how great it was, how wonderful it was. It was just those are the things you like to hear. You don't think at that point about the sweat and the hours and all kind of that reward for all the hard work that goes in. I know, and you've got a credible team over there at the chamber that helps to pull that all together. Got a great staff. Yeah. It's just great to, I know that, firsthand, having, been a part tangentially, at least, kind of seeing that interaction, seeing how professional your staff is and how quick they respond to people and, keep the communication open and, tell you what's going on as a vendor there and what what's coming up and all that. So tell us, so you got your annual event coming up in December. Yep. Any other, and I know you do a lot of smaller events like breakfast and yes, we after have, hours and things like that. Breakfasts and after hours. Our next after hours in November will be at Ritual. You can find more information on our website. It's a very popular place down there on Main Street, right? Right next to the, I don't even know what it's called, the old Palladium. I believe it is still the Palladium. They're still open. Well, it just shows. I mean, I've been there several times, just not in the last, say 7 or 8 years. A lot of the concerts and stuff. We know you were there for the death metal show. We know you were down there. I might have been. I might have been. Extensions in your hair, rocking out with everybody. We know there's a fun side of Jeff. Yes, that's right. Death metal is my MO.
with MCG in tow. Yes. All right, so we have a little game we got to play with you here. We got to. It's
Okay.
kind of a little contest thing, and if you win, you do get a prize. All right, so. Hey, well, by the way, what was your? So this is it's dealing with young people in work readiness, as we talked about with Paul Lynskey. So what was your first job?
My first job during summer job at high school.
No,
or
just as a young person, not first professional job, but first kind of taste of like an actual work,
my
not at
first
home.
working job. My
not,
first summer job, I worked at Designs by Levi Strauss in the Auburn Mall.
Sounds pretty fancy.
No, not a male model. No. Again, going back to Jeff's earlier comment, nobody wants a portion of stew at any point during the
No,
day
I
of the week.
think that was
Or their
the whole
shopping.
ad campaign for a while. Levi Strauss, come have a portion of stew. So if, I imagine you're pretty good at folding the jeans then?
Not bad.
I always
There was a method to it.
There is a method. What's your favorite brand of Levi's? What's your favorite style of Levi's?
These days, with a slightly protruding waistline, anything baggy and comfort fit, anything that's going to give you a little elastic waistbands.
Jeans with pleats always. I
look for
that's
anything with an
odd.
elastic waistband when I go to an all-you-can-eat buffet.
All right, so here's this is for a prize now, so we have to put our game face on.
right.
Brad Pitt, what was his first job? Was it A, pest control? Was it I'm trying to read the handwriting here, Sean. Sean put this together. So, was it pest control technician? B, a chicken mascot for a local fast food restaurant called El Polo Loco, or C, was it janitor at a local high school? So Brad Pitt's first job, janitor at a local high school,
you know what?
pest control technician, or chicken mascot for El Polo Loco.
I'm going to put him in the chicken suit. I'm going to make him a chicken mascot.
You are a winner, sir.
I'm gonna
Wow,
make him a chicken
incredible!
mascot.
Yes, he's got the he wore. I think we're gonna try for the viewers at home. We'll try to see if we have any footage of that. Any kind of. Do we have footage, Sean? Do we have footage? We'll have to dig some. We'll have to we'll have to Photoshop some footage of him in a chicken outfit. So hey, we're gonna be talking about the rollout of Obamacare and or I should say the Affordable Care Act. You're welcome to stick around and throw in your 2 cents worth, or I know you might have to go. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll sort that out, and then we'll be back with more of the Working Lunch.
Working 9 to 5.
WCUW is celebrating 40 years of being part of the community of Worcester, and they brought back the alums this past weekend.
Oh, that's great.
And
40 years of radio.
They followed my show, and they gathered in this room and outer rooms, and some of them, it appears, have not evolved over the 40 years. The hot guys really, because it was really WCUW was known for underground music, and these were a lot of
And they're so underground is what you're implying?
They evolved and really presented to the community in Worcester a real niche of airing local bands.
Yeah.
And so it was a fun afternoon here.
I imagine it was. Now, you have your radio show on Saturday afternoons. It's
From 2 to 4.
It's the Bob Zukowski polka.
Polka. 2 hours, yes.
2 hours of polka.
Happy music.
I have listened to the show whenever especially if I'm on the road in the car. The kids love it. Love the fact that it's not just traditional old school polka. It's also a lot of like rock and roll polka. Yeah, alternative.
A lot of alternative. It's gone from utilizing the folk music of the Eastern European countries to nowadays blending in rock and roll and blending in standards as well as country.
Yeah,
that fit into the polkas. So.
And we do have our guest here, Stuart Loosemore from the Worcester Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for again joining us. I know your members must be interested in the rollout of the Affordable Care Act. What do you hear about that? What's the membership kind of perspective? What's the feedback?
Most members, when they see a government program, I think are usually a little skeptical. Along the basic ideas of it's my business.
More work.
It's my business.
Yeah. More control being taken
Why are you
by,
trying to run my business for me? Why are you trying to tell me how to run my business? The part of all of this that has always intrigued me, I think if you take the Affordable Care Act apart in pieces, people might be more amenable to, if you ask, do you think people with pre-existing health conditions should be
Able to get
denied insurance? I think you'll find a lot of people say, well, no, I think if you go for insurance, even if you have a pre-existing condition, you shouldn't be denied. Do you think that coverage should be made available and affordable to everyone so that they can get coverage if they want it? You're going to find most people, I would say,
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You call it Affordable Care Act, you call it Obamacare, and all of a sudden, pitchforks and stakes and knives come out, and people get very
Well, there's actually a study that,
angry.
or a survey that was done that it's like a 20-point swing describing the exact same language. Like, do you support the Affordable Care Act, which does versus the same question, except for do you support Obamacare, which does and it's like a 18-point swing or so. And I forget what it was, but it's like it tips from a majority in favor to a majority not in favor just by the name alone. You get a lot of probably, I would think, conservative types that they hear the Obamacare label, and there's a certain amount of information out there, kind of probably in the more conservative circles around what the act does and doesn't do. And when you break it out, I'm kind of with you. When you break it out point by point, a lot of it is based on more or less right wing systems that were proposed back in like the 80s and 90s. I think that's the Heritage Foundation had proposed most of the aspects of this plan as a response to Hillary Clinton's healthcare proposal. So they came back with, well, here's the conservative aspect, which maintains much of the free market aspect of healthcare delivery and insurance system. And so it's kind of an interesting proposition, right?
I'm going to jump in here with the free market situation. There's the Kaiser Foundation out of Menlo, California, who sponsors a Kaiser Health newsletter. And recently, as of October 21st, which was yesterday or the day before, they were talking about in Florida.
Now, are they part of the Kaiser Permanente health insurance?
No, they're not.
Okay.
No.
It's different.
But the Kaiser Foundation is supposed to be a nonpartisan, objective view of health care overall. So they're not only looking at the insurance end of it, they're looking at the delivery of service in the acute health care and all, and also looking at the United States' leadership in the policy making for health care. And they were pointing out that, for instance, in California, insurance companies are dropping their customers because of the affordable health care, forcing people to go into higher cost. And the key.
So they're dropping customers. I would think
they are dropping customers.
Because they don't want to necessarily have to maintain the level that's being
and also
in the statute of
down in Florida, also in Florida and Ohio, are dropping a lot of its customers. And now, when we heard about the Affordable Health Care Act, it was supposed to be affordable to all. And reports in the Kaiser newsletter are talking about increases for individuals. We were told that we would be able to keep our healthcare insurance providers, and that hasn't been the case. So,
I think it should be. No one's actually been the new system isn't while the rollout of the exchanges online has happened as of October 1st. But it's January 1st when the new coverage would actually begin.
Some of the private business owners are skeptical. I'm skeptical because of the way number one, it was passed. Number two, legislators telling us they didn't have an opportunity to read the whole bill. So that talks to an irrational legislative process in which you don't know all the information and you vote for something, and so then
Sure.
you become skeptical. And as back in 1968, a friend was wounded in Vietnam, and I went over to the Boston Naval Hospital to see government health care first.
Through the VNA?
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said at that time, as a young person, I would never
But
want
here's my
never
question, though,
want to
Bob.
be involved
And
with
this is kind of thing that I get a little bit, it gets me a little upset. I was listening to the Jordan Levy show last night, and a caller comes on and he says, we fought the socialists 40 years ago, and now we're going back to it with this Obamacare. And Jordan says, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, this is like a step in. And at what point did we ever fight? Stu, do you remember war against the socialists? I'm not sure what the heck that guy was talking about. I don't remember a war against socialists.
I don't know if I'm comfortable commenting
I
on
do know that one of our closest allies all along, including an ally in the Cold War, would be the UK, right? United Kingdom, and they have a government single-payer system.
They have government-run healthcare.
Yeah, they have. So this is the B, though. B part of that is, as you're saying, the VNA is a government-run healthcare, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Affordable Care Act is not creating new government hospitals, is it?
Well,
It's not actually the delivery of health care,
going
is
to
it?
have some control over it, and that's the concern. Because it seems like,
No, I understand it. And
skeptical side of
what
it
I'm really
is-
curious, so you and I have talked in the past, is I'm really curious as to with the role now the mandate for employers and to offer health insurance has been delayed a year. I am really curious to see, like, is there going to be a movement towards dropping people down from 40 hours to 30, or or dropping the number of employees from 50 to 48, so that, is there going to be employers trying to not have to meet that mandate through, I don't want to say shenanigans, but basically through making steps locally or for their own business to not have to, because they don't want to have to comply with all the.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very curious to see how that rolls out and what the implications are with that.
I don't know if you'll see that side of it as much as maybe a business thinking twice and rerunning again and again their numbers if they're looking to expand.
Yeah.
And this idea of, well, we're doing well, I want to expand from 1 to 2 locations.
But
well,
geez, do I want to take on
those numbers used to be X. Now they're going to be
X plus Y?
X plus Y. And a lot of people initially felt that, well, it's modeled predominantly after what we had done
In Massachusetts,
06, and the idea of taking our model and just kind of developing it on a national level. But we're finding more and more parts that don't exactly mesh up, and there's still going to be some significant changes here in Massachusetts for what we already have, and there's some real fears in a number of different circles that while we're at, I want to say the number is like 98% coverage. I mean, we have such a phenomenal coverage rate here.
Is this going
There's
to hurt
extreme
that?
fears that's actually going to slide in the opposite direction. After being the pioneering state to put this into effect, dealing with the headaches we dealt with initially, tweaking the system to overcome some of those headaches, getting to a point where there's 98% coverage. And again, whether I'm not getting
And employers, for one way or another, have figured out how to live with the Massachusetts.
Right.
Right.
But we've accepted this system to an extent, and I'm not trying to say the system's right or wrong, good or bad, socialist or not.
But it's shaken out already
We're
here
at
in
98%.
Massachusetts.
Like, the idea was to increase coverage, and now we're looking at something that might roll us back.
especially nationwide in that regard, because any insurance policy.
Well, think about in 2006, there was a big adjustment within Massachusetts. So that's what the country's going through, only on probably a larger.
But any insurance company needs to rely on those customers that need health care, like folks my age and getting up there, versus those that should be part of the system, have to pay, and really don't need it. And I know,
But that's how. That's the sticking point, right?
I know as a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, When I remember one day someone trying to sell me life insurance at 22. Hey, at 22, I'm living forever, and at 22, I'm going to be healthy forever. And those may be the individuals that may not buy into it, which will
Right.
create some problems with the system.
And of course, for the insurance companies, that's the selling point is you're going to have to take on people with pre-existing conditions, but in order to even out the market, we're going to require it for everybody, including the healthy young
Yes.
people that are out there. So they're going to be paying in for a system they're probably not going to use very often,
Yeah.
and that's going to cover the cost of the people that have significant health issues
do.
that are now going to have access
Yeah.
to it. I do think it's curious, though, that, I mean, of industrial nations, we actually pay about twice as much as most other countries in healthcare costs. Twice as much. And there's not just countries with single payer, there's also companies like Germany that very much have a mixed approach with public and free market. So,
To that level.
yeah.
And I think that's some of people's bigger concerns is the cost of healthcare. The Commonwealth put into effect, I think it took effect this fall, right around now.
Yeah.
There's a transparency legislation that over time is going to require all of these providers to list on their website so that you and I can find
Yeah.
the cost, their real costs of knee surgery, heart transplant, heart surgery, lung surgery, so that as the consumer, the hope is you now start to look and say, okay,
I'm gonna be honest though. If my
I
kid
can go
needs a
to-
lung transplant, God forbid, I'm not saying, oh, geez, I'll save $1,500 if I go here versus. I'm gonna say
the
but
idea
I do want to know who's the best.
idea is
I do want to know who's the
pairing
best.
quality
Yeah.
and then price. Let's say Dr. Z
But yeah,
and,
but
and
I
Dean
mean, that
Terry
choice-
are equal quality, but Dr. Z charges $5,000 less. Well, if I have a $2,000 deductible,
Yeah, I get.
I'm still looking at that as part of my outlay as opposed to,
Yeah.
what.
No,
Again,
and certainly some
keeping
procedures more
quality
than
the
others.
same.
I think if you're talking about maybe going for an MRI, right,
And the
you
discussion's
probably be
also
more likely
quality's gotta be
to
the same.
shop around.
We've got to recognize at some level, like, assuming equal quality of service and care.
Yeah.
Then the next step, because I agree with you, if my kid has, I don't care in a way what it costs, I want my kid to get better. Okay, I have two qualified doctors, equally qualified, equal
Yeah.
on every level. You charge $10,000, he charges $3,000, and I have a $5,000 deductible. If it's the same level and quality of service,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go.
Well, and that's it'll be interesting to see if you can get at those outcomes. Yeah, can you
drive the
And
market?
I know we're also trying, and one of the things that's of concern to kind of everybody in the healthcare world is the reimbursement rates and how we're processing that. I know in Massachusetts, there is a kind of a launch of patient-centered care, and not necessarily about fee for service per se, but more around wellness prevention and a holistic approach. And so it'd be interesting to see how that.
This will be
plays
an
into it.
ongoing discussion.
Let's
This
hope
would-
so. Let's hope we're all continue to be
Healthy.
healthy enough to have the
Healthy enough.
discussion, right? Well, I do think it's interesting. I mean, and like I said, you got people kind of out there saying this is a socialist program. I don't understand what aspect of it in the least is socialist. Can you tell me that?
It becomes.
Does anyone have an answer for that
That's an irrational
argument?
argument, definitely.
I agree, and I agree. There's some legitimate questions that need to maybe be answered and looked at. It's that argument that around this is a march towards socialism. Well, we have an automobile industry, right? Does anyone feel that the automobile industry in the U.S. is socialist? Is there? Because I mean, but there's regulations around what an automobile maker can do and can't do with the product that they're making and selling, right?
Certainly.
So, I don't think regulating an industry is necessarily making it a socialist industry.
I think, and this is just my personal thought on
This
it.
is Stu talking.
Yeah,
This is
not
this is a
my
portion of
official-
Stu coming at you, folks.
But I think
lot of Stu.
anytime government gets involved in something to the level that they're getting involved in the health insurance industry,
Yeah.
people's fears are that socialist side of things. And
Well,
I'm
and-
not going to
and-
sit here and discuss whether
It's right,
a valid
yeah.
or invalid claim. That's
certainly,
not for me to do, but I would hope people could at least get past that and start talking about the
Actual-
implementation and the actual effects of it.
Yeah.
And again, the cost of it, and some of that comes back to what I was talking about, the transparency. And one of the analogies I've heard, healthcare is the only industry where we don't shop around price-wise. Do you walk onto a car lot and say, I want a car, and just put your hand out and wait for keys and a bill?
I don't. However, it's one of the only industries where if you don't buy it, you're dead. So when I go on to if I needed to have a car, in 10 minutes or I would be dead, I would certainly take that approach, right? I would go onto the lot and say, hey, if I don't have a car in 10 minutes, I'm dead. Give me a car. I would not be arguing over certain aspects of that car, right? So if you're having a heart attack, are you really going to be saying to the ambulance driver, whoa, let's slow down here. Let's look at where we're going. I will tell you this, a good friend of mine had a parent who unfortunately had a heart attack, and the insurance company, not government, not big bad government, the insurance company made that ambulance go to hospital A knowing that they don't have the resources, so they had to go and check in there and get the referral before they could life flight that person out to the bigger hospital that had the resource. Now, it was a health insurance mandate from the company, not from the government. And that's where I'm kind of like, man, the expectation, I think healthcare is a unique market from the standpoint as you do have life or death. Now, when you're going for your MRI and you have 3 months to plan for it, I'm totally with you.
Thank you. You were getting a little into hyperbole going with immediate,
that's where
every health decision is life or death.
I agree. There's probably most health decisions that you do have some time, and transparency would be a much valuable thing to kind of add to the system. But the other thing curious about health, or an additional thing with health insurance is I don't know many other industries that providers are mandated to give you the service. So in other words, let's go back to that car lot analogy. If you're at an emergency unit, someone walks into the lot and says, I need a car, they're mandated to give the keys to a car. And I don't know many industries that have that requirement, right? So from that perspective, I think it's a unique thing. And unfortunately, right now, the current system, I feel, puts me at a disadvantage for someone with insurance because, we had a situation where I had to bring my girl in for services late at night and we had to go to the emergency room. And I'm stuck behind people that don't have health insurance that are going there because they have sniffles. And I'm thinking to myself, isn't there a better way to get them a more appropriate level of care? A, it's the most expensive care you can have is through an emergency room. And then B, it clogs up the system for true emergencies, right? So, but they're mandated to not turn the folks away regardless of their ability to pay.
Yep.
But again, those are some of the aims of what, at least in Massachusetts, we were trying to do in getting people off of kind of an uninsured care pool and into
an insured
system.
Where now you have insurance, you can go, you can.
But some of that is also just branding and coming back to kind of your point earlier about ACA with certain things and then the Obamacare with others. I mean, marketing your brand isn't just for Shaquille and LeBron. It's for government, and it's for the idea of getting a message out there that if you're sick, and you have health coverage, you don't just go to the emergency room. You call your doctor. You go see your doctor. There's a certain way of
dealing with an appropriate
of doing it. I mean, now don't get me wrong, 2:30 in the morning, your kid wakes up coughing, sneezing, bleeding. The emergency room is your appropriate avenue.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm a rational adult, I wake up this morning, I have the sniffles, I shouldn't be going to the emergency room.
Exactly.
I should be calling my doctor.
And certainly get back to Dr. Bob Z's point here. It's an ongoing discussion, and it will be, from a workforce perspective, it'll be interesting to see how it rolls out and whether it does affect the nature of employment, the number of jobs that are available, the types of jobs, full-time, part-time, and all that.
And I'm sure every employer has a part of its mind daily on healthcare, providing healthcare for their employees, and the costs.
For most businesses, it's number 2 on their expense sheet. Salary is first, and then the cost of healthcare for most businesses is the second largest item that they deal with in putting their budget together.
Well, more to come on this important,
good discussion
on this important topic. So, Stuart Loosemore from Worcester Chamber of Commerce, thank you for being with us and sharing your thoughts on all this stuff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Z, do we have another break coming up here?
Another break. I think we're going to forego the other break because we're
going to go right into it, or just
closing. we're down to the closing minutes here. So, and we haven't heard from
We have not heard much from
Sean today.
Sean today.
Helping us, Stu's just taking over for MCG over here. Can we?
I don't even get a microphone.
We don't even have a microphone. Come on over.
All right. And Sean,
It was an easy show for me today.
I know.
with eyes on the,
Eyes on the
clock.
clock. We'll just do a quick mail. As the listeners know, you can send in your questions, your job-related questions, to our email, and every month we reach into the mailbox and pull one out. And this month we have one from Amanda from Northborough. And Amanda writes, I use Monster.com for my online job search, but just can't help but think I might be missing out on other job sites. Can you name some? So I talked to the staff upstairs at the Career Center. Again, we have Career Centers in Worcester, Milford, and Southbridge. And they pointed me to their website, workforcecentralma.org. And on their job seeker panel, they have a list of, looks like there's over 30 of them here. And they also said that the number one is JobQuest, which Workforce Central has business service representatives that work with local businesses to post jobs. So that's going to be your best
Plus
bet.
on JobQuest, it's actually affiliated with the Conference Board's Help Wanted Online system.
Okay.
So it actually pulls from Monster, Indeed, all the big sites, probably most of those 30, if not all of them, as well as company sites directly. Compares the job listings to try to weed out the duplicates, and then collates them into the JobQuest job board. So I believe now for Massachusetts alone, it's got well over 100,000 job postings.
Wow.
So it's billed as the most comprehensive. The Conference Board that is the company that Massachusetts purchases the licensing for that technology with. Is actually one of the industry leaders in that, nationally. So I would say take a look at JobQuest, and then on the website there's a number of niche ones, like that might have to do
Right.
with health, like specifically around healthcare or high tech or whatever. So
Yep.
to compare that, but I wouldn't be surprised if most of the jobs that you're seeing in other places are already listed on JobQuest.
Yeah, so thanks again, Amanda, and I hope that answers your question.
Yes, good luck to you, Amanda, with your job search.
in the background, they hear the closing.
Where's my olives? Well, thank you again. I want to thanks to Loosemore from the Chamber being here, as well as Paul Lynskey from the Blackstone Valley Education Foundation. I want to thank my co-host Sean McGauley, Bob Zukowski, and the folks at Worcester Cable Services for again taping the show to tape delay to viewers. So thank you all, and we'll talk to you next month.
Yeah, it'll be our turkey program.
Gobble, gobble.
Thanksgiving Day.
Gobble, gobble.
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Halloween, everyone.
Take this job and shove it.